Welcome, welcome. Coach Julie Hatfield still here, president of Beyond the Game Alliance, where we support athletes in the transition from sports to career or college, whatever comes next for them. We are really driven to help these students answer two big questions. What's next, and who am I now when I lay the jersey down or where I no longer have my competitive sports every single day? And I'm so excited to have Sydney Center in the room with me today to really talk about her story in sports, in her athletic career, and that transition out of athletics and what she's doing now. So I think examples are so important for not only our community of student athletes, but also for those who are considering joining and partnering with us. So Sydney, welcome to the room.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me. My name is Sydney Center. My background is in trampoline gymnastics. So I did that from the age of 5 to 20, 19 maybe. So a big chunk of my life. I competed for Team USA. I was on the US national team for 7 years, and I'm a two-time world champion as well. So yeah.
Yeah, so you've got some reps
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it's always an honor to speak with you about sports, your career, and really how it's made you the woman you are today, Sid. But let's go back to that period of time as you were kind of transitioning from world champion into whatever was next for you. How was that transition for you? Do you remember much about it? What was going on? Go ahead and share.
Yeah. So at that point, around the World Championship title time, which was around 2019, I was pretty peaked out in my career. So I was riding the high of all of these accomplishments and overcoming a lot of physical and mental setbacks in my sport. Um, and so it only made sense that I should, ride that wave and keep going. And so I did, and I kept showing up to practice and I kept pushing myself. But then I found that I didn't, when I would come to practice and to the gym every day, I have this like imagery of me just sitting on the floor, the gym floor, watching my teammates jump and being like, oh, I'm going next. And it was just draining. It was exhausting, but that was a truth that I didn't want to accept because I was good and I could compete. And logically, why would I stop now after all of these years? And I've had all these reps under my belt and all this experience and amazing experiences that I'm so grateful for. And just giving that up was giving up not only those experiences, but it felt like giving up entirely who I was as a person.
Mm.
And that's scary. So yeah, for a while I just kept going through the motions, and eventually I realized that there were a lot of catalysts that happened in my personal life, such as going to college. That was a huge change. I'm from Hawaii and I went to college in North Carolina for my first year and a half, and that was a big shift. I changed gyms. It was just a lot of newness. And with that, I hung on to trampoline just a little bit longer because that was like a one stable aspect in my life. And then it got to a point where it just was taking a toll on me physically, mentally. And I was like, I need to step back. And that was really hard. But once I stepped back, I realized how much I was missing in life outside of the sport. But that doesn't mean that it was easy to recognize that and embrace that, because there were so many times after I decided to take that step away where I just wanted to go back in the gym and jump. Because when I was feeling sad, when I was feeling insecure, purposeless, I knew that if I just got on a trampoline, that would all get better. And there were a few times where I did that, but it's a temporary fix, right? Because in the moment, I felt like, yeah, this is me. But then I go home and I'm like, it's not really me anymore because I don't have that love, I don't have that passion, and I want more, and I want to explore who I am and what life can be outside of it. And so that was kind of the whole journey of why I stopped and what that looked like right after.
Wow. Wow. I just keep picturing you that kid sitting on the floor, kind of losing your um just on that roller coaster ride of being torn, right? Do I jump or don't I jump, right? Quite literally for 15 years, that's what you did every single day, right, Sid? So you're sitting there and in your mind you're debating, but you're still showing up because it's
Right.
familiar, is what I
Right.
hear. I'm curious for you, leading up to that young woman sitting on the floor and just kind of debating, so to speak. What led you to that place? What was kind of the things that were going on in your life prior to that that you started to realize, look, it's time for me to start shifting and looking really inward at who am I now beyond this sport?
Yeah. So I think definitely I'm no stranger to injuries for
Mm.
sure. And I've always been on our team here in Hawaii. I was always the one getting hurt. I don't know what it was. And it was always horrible timing right before a competition. And it would just be an ankle sprain. I've had so many like back issues since I was like 12 years old. And so a lot of the times, probably from when I peaked to when I actually took the step away, it was this cycle. So I would sprain my ankle, break my foot, hurt my back, whatever it was, take time off. But then when you take time off, like you're kind of getting a glimpse into life outside and it's kind of nice, but then you're still kind of in it. So then you come back in. But then when I came back in, because I had stepped away, just that force break because of that injury, it made me kind of question if I really wanted to be there. And with from questioning that is when I started to have some mental setbacks. And so in gymnastics or trampoline, they call it mental blocks, and that can happen in any part of life. It's not just a physical thing, a sport thing, a gymnastics thing, but it's a common term. Simone Biles' whole story on how she dealt with that in Tokyo and stepped away because that's what she needed to do. That's a whole inspiring story in itself, especially for me who resonates really deeply. But that's kind of what I went through. And then I would push past that mental setback and I'd be like, okay, I'm back. And then get hurt again. And this happened at least 3 rounds. And by the last one, I broke my ankle 2 weeks before World Championships in 2021. And I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, this is not happening because I had just gotten my skills back. And I was like, okay, we're going to make it happen. We're going to make it work. I'm going to want this again. And I got to the point where I wanted it. And then at that point, I was like, no, like there's a reason this is happening. And I feel like my body is literally deteriorating and my mind is going with it. And so it just kind of felt like something was trying to tell me, hey, pause, hey, pull away. And I just had to listen. But, I'm stubborn. A lot of us are. So I didn't want to listen. Um, and yeah, I think ultimately one of the things that I realized in retrospect once I took that step away was that a lot of the quote unquote goals, I guess, that I had in the sport weren't really mine, if that makes sense. Like it made sense for Sydney Center to want to go to the Olympics because I was at that level. But I didn't train like an Olympian because I didn't really want that. I mean, like I thought it'd be cool. I thought, oh yeah, if the next step leads there, but it wasn't like I will, eat, sleep, breathe trampoline until I get there. And I'm sure if I wanted to go truly, and that was my number one goal, like the journey would have looked different. But it was the goal that I thought I should have had. And that's just how people labeled me as, oh yeah, the Olympian gymnast and oh, world class, oh, Sydney, all of those things. And so when I realized that my goals that I was expressing or putting on display for people weren't actually true to me, that's when it kind of struck me that I was like, well, something needs to change.
Wow, Sid, such insight. And, if you're a student athlete right now watching this and you resonate, please, please, please just comment, share a bit of your story and where you're at. You are not alone in that. Sydney, one thing I heard in all of that there were a lot of labels and expectations placed on you that you may have not asked for or you may not have wanted. Um, did you feel like that was true for you? Like there were goals and expectations that when you really connected with yourself, you're like, actually, that's not what Sydney wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's where the fear to quit. I don't really like that word, but the fear to
I
choose
haven't met
life
an
without
athlete
it.
that does.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right.
The fear to choose life without the sport
Mm-hmm.
um stemmed from the fear of failure.
Yeah.
And I think that fear of failure was because not necessarily myself, but just with the expectations and hopes I mean, when your best friends or your family is like, I'm gonna go watch you in Tokyo, like how are you supposed to how are you supposed to be like, actually I don't really like trampoline. Like I don't know how you're supposed to do
How do you
that,
break it to them, right?
Yeah, and these
And
are the people, yeah, these are the people that know you the best and want you to be happy and they care about you. So then it starts to become an expectation that you put on yourself. Like, oh, that's their hope for me. So that should be my hope for myself too.
mm,
Right.
how'd you work through that? How, for anybody watching, said that maybe in that space of maybe misplaced expectations or labels, and they're really contending with like, who am I in this and what do I want in this? What would your advice be for them? Like, what helped you through that fear of failure?
Yeah. I think definitely, first of all, allowing yourself to be afraid and just acknowledging that that's how I'm feeling. And I can be an athlete and be afraid. I can be successful and be afraid, you know. I can fail and be afraid. And I think the way that I came to all those things was by the people I surrounded myself with. For sure. I've definitely there were people that were close with me my whole life that left my life at that point, and then new people that came in, mentors, friends that weren't from my school, just friends I've met, older people, role models, and kind of just letting go of the fact that people aren't going to be in your life forever. People come in seasons, and that's so true. It's all fluid. And just being open to that. That was like probably the biggest thing because I really believe that, the people that you surround yourself with, that's what makes you you.
Yeah. Well, I know offline we were talking a little bit about one of the things we talk about in the Alliance, which is developing and building your dream team for beyond the game. I know that
Mhm.
resonated with you, Sid. Do you feel like it's kind of grounded in that belief of the power of the people around you, or is there anything that you can add to that?
For sure. Yeah, I think, well, I love the dream team concept is one of my favorite things that we went over in BTGA because I think just the word dream team. I mean, come on, how can you not love that and be like excited to make your own? I'm like having a whole list and I'm like sorting through these names, like, okay, what feels right? Who's going to be in this spot? Who's in this spot? Like, this is my life. This is my team. And I get to choose, who I want in it because they're going to help me get to the place I want to be and continue to be the person that, I want to be. And then one insight I had while we were brainstorming our team, in our session the other week was just the fact that like you can put yourself in those spots, and I feel like that the transition for me from athlete to, well, always an athlete, but from doing the sport to life outside was really figuring out, or not figuring out, but I guess just coming to the realization that I can be my own ally. I can be my supporter, I can be my big thinker. Like, and then when you exemplify that for yourself, it's easier to see who in your life also fits those for you,
Hmm.
you know?
I loved that realization for you as we went through it. It was quite literally like a light bulb moment. You're like, look, I like that's me. And
Mhm.
the amazing thing about that, Sid, I venture to say that that's you for a lot of people, right? If others around you actually put their dream team down, you'd be their ally. You'd be some of their greatest support. You would be the big thinker in their life. And it truly is you see, I believe relationships, it's kind of like that infinity sign, right? What you put out comes back around. And when it comes back around and kind of completes or fulfills you, that's a relationship that is so powerful for you because there's so
Yeah.
much synergy and you quite literally build on each other and make each other better. So I just loved exploring that concept with you and kind of shifting into, I mean, you've had a really unique lens. For those of you watching, Sydney was a part of our beta program for our 8 week high performance coaching program that all of our athletes get access to. So she's had some key roles in giving us feedback, going through the first reps of the program. She has a special place in our heart. Let's just put it that way. Sydney, for you, if you can just reflect and share, you're post collegiate, right? You're beyond the game, beyond your competitive sport. But looking back, knowing what you know about what we went through in our 8 weeks together in that course, looking back, how could have that changed things for you in that transition period? Like, how do you see athletes today who are transitioning being assisted, helped, and amplified by going through our 8 week program?
Mhm. Well, I used the word powerful earlier when we were talking about this program, not only in the sense of me and how I felt that it impacted me, but just powerful in how I know it's going to be such a game changer for a lot of athletes, retired athletes out there. I would say, first of all, first and foremost, just being surrounded by people that get it, other athletes, high achieving individuals. And there's just a nature to us, some of it is innate, some of it is cultivated through your experiences and through your journey as an whatever sport that you're in. And I think just being surrounded by people and um, learning that yes, everyone's journey is different, but there's a common denominator there, and in that there's a lot of um, comfort and peace that it's all gonna work out because it's just how life is. There's a reason why we're all in a room together. So first and foremost, just plugging into that was so powerful for me. I also think I'm thinking about it, and the program 8 weeks, and the first couple weeks was kind of rough and didn't I was just like, oh, I'll just show up and see. I'll just show up and see. I'm not sure if I'm excited about this yet. I'm not sure if it's going to do something. I'm kind of doubtful. I'm just going to show up and see. And I kind of, it felt kind of a little going through the motions. And then it started to pick up because we started having curriculum that built on each other from the previous weeks. And then all of these aspects like my strengths, my values, my mission, my vision, my dream team, when you really take time to think about that and spend time looking into yourself on what that means in your life, it all starts to kind of piece itself together. And then by like halfway mark, I was so excited to show up, and wanting to learn, wanting to explore, wanting to reflect and figure out or discover more things about myself and how I can relate with the people in the room. And I think that like the course of the 8 weeks kind of is like this just like 8 week blip into what I went through the last 2 years transitioning out. Because in the beginning, it's just like, I'm just gonna get out of bed and try to go on a walk instead of heading to a 3-hour practice and just see what that's like, and for a little bit in the beginning there, it feels stuck. It feels a little iffy. You're doubting yourself on whether you can actually feel fulfilled outside of sport. But then experiences happen, relationships happen, and then you just kind of realize all these pieces about yourself, and then it becomes this synergetic, thing. And just in the big picture, I would say that now that I'm thinking about it, it really reflected my journey.
Yeah. I
Transitioning.
mean, absolutely, Sydney. Like, whenever we start something new, we can either be excited about it or cautious about it, right? So it's expected for us to show up and just wonder what it's going to be like and how it's going to help me. But one thing we talked about early on and talk about with all of our athletes early on is showing up when we don't want to. And as athletes, we kind of knack for that. So we
Yep.
really play on that strength as an athlete. And I love what you said about halfway through, you started to feel the momentum. Now, as a
Mhm.
result of being in the program for that 8 weeks, now that is just a small piece of what the Alliance brings to the table. We also have our monthly workshops. We have weekly activation and accountability pods. We have a quarterly rhythm with our students. We have all kinds of amazing stuff for our collegiate athletes. We've got yoga, we've got fitness. So there's a lot of things that our students get access to. And Sydney, she got the 8 weeks, and luckily she's going to be in the room with us in other capacities moving forward. But in hindsight, Sydney, well, actually, now that you're on the other side of it, right? What's changed for you? How are you showing up in your day to day? Has anything shifted for you in just your professional career and what you're doing now?
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of factors I think that play in, and this alliance was definitely one of the big things that shifted things for me. And so probably the biggest thing is I'm jumping again. It's not a comeback, not announcing anything, but I'm jumping again and I'm doing it because it's fun. And I
Mm.
never thought that was possible. Truly, I can't remember the last time where jumping was just fun, which is so strange because I mean, I assume maybe there's probably not many trampolinists in here, but I'm sure if you were to go on a trampoline, you would be like, oh, I'm bouncing around. This is fun. Like that's what it's supposed to be. And for me, that felt so far. And I think kind of just connecting to my values. And I did not mention this, I'm so sorry, but I'm a coach now. I restarted the trampoline program here in Hawaii. So I started my own team. It's called Hawaii Trampoline Center. And we are, getting our feet on the ground. And I'm so excited to be giving some of these kids the opportunities I got to have as such life-changing experiences, and also just creating a safe, supportive space for them to have fun and to own their truth, own their goals and their dreams, and just support them through that, and support myself through that, I guess, since I'm jumping again. Allowing myself to have fun and just be in the journey, because that's really what it's all about. So
I love that for you. I love that for you, Sid. And I know there were many factors leading up to that, and we're just grateful that we were a piece in the puzzle for you to get to this place of clarity and, I mean, getting back into the game that you ultimately love and teach from a different space, where
yep.
you can carry this on lifelong because you enjoy it, and you're great at it. So those
Yeah.
kids are lucky to have you. Now, Sydney, it's been an honor speaking to you. I appreciate you so much, and I'm excited for what's to come for you. And like I said, if you partner with the Alliance, you might see this young woman in the Zoom rooms with us and continuing to walk alongside us in the Alliance. But if you are interested in partnering, there are 3 ways to give to our organization. We are a nonprofit, so we do partner aligned partnerships. So if you are a leader, an athletic director, a president of an organization, a school, at the collegiate level, then this might be an opportunity for you to partner with us so we can service and fully service your student athletes. Another way to help the Alliance is to become a provider. Providers provide holistic services, alternative and integrative therapies and services and supports for our student athletes aligned in the Alliance. And then lastly are our corporate sponsorships, which are also an opportunity for businesses to come into the fold and just give back to our community of incredible athletes just like Sydney. So if you'd like to check out more about us, check out beyondthegamealliance.org and feel free to connect with us on our website. Sydney, again, thank you for your time and energy, and I just so appreciate you and wish you the best of luck in what's coming.
Thank you.